Our daily Bible reading today comes from Jeremiah chapter 27 through chapter 29. And our daily devotional today here at Carrollton Christian Fellowship comes from a majority of Jeremiah chapter 27. With Jeremiah chapter 27, this is a prophecy, a word from the Lord that has come to Jeremiah, that Jeremiah is told to take to the king of Judah, so to King Zedekiah, and also to the other kings of the nations around Judah. And this is a prophecy, this is a word of the Lord to them of the yoke of the Babylonian Empire, the king of Babylon, of King Nebuchadnezzar, that is upon them. It is believed that this is at a time when quite possibly the nations, the kings of the nations around Judah, had come to King Zedekiah at a time when they were all planning a revolt against Nebuchadnezzar, against the king of Babylon, at a time of which the Babylonian captivity and the reign of Babylon in the area had already begun. In verses 4 through 8, we see a message that is associated with the bonds and yoke that is placed upon the nations there of Judah and those around them. That Nebuchadnezzar was an instrument and a servant of the Lord, and that Nebuchadnezzar was dealing out the judgment of the Lord, because the nations around Judah and also the nation of Judah were not turning from their idolatry and turning to the Lord. And so this is such a good picture for us of God's desire that all peoples come to a saving knowledge of Him. That God is working on and working in the lives of everyone to welcome and to bring them back into a relationship with Him. And if we remember with the history of Israel, that they were placed where they were placed in the heart and in the center of the world, so that they would be a picture and an example to the whole world of a relationship with the Lord, and what a relationship looks like and how to enter into a relationship with the Lord. So God has not just chosen to save one people or one nation or a specific group of individuals, but God desires and God has chosen to make salvation available to all peoples. The Lord says that the nations here, that they are to serve King Nebuchadnezzar. And this is because they were being handed over to the very desire to have an insurmountable and an innumerable number of gods that they would worship, and they were set up as their chief leading passion and their chief leading desire and focus, and where they put all of their attention on and what their heart was after. And so because of this, the Lord was giving them over to that through the nation and through the kingdom of Babylon. Babylon is in an area and in a place where all false religions and all false gods come out of. Coming out of a desire and a seeking after the fall of Babel, a desire and a seeking for anything other than the God of all creation to be the supreme authority over our lives, and to be the chief desire and the chief direction and passion in our life. The Lord says that the nation that does not accept this, the nation that does not serve King Nebuchadnezzar, that nation is one who does not accept the harvest that they have been sowing to. And the Lord says that because of that, if you do not serve Him, if you do not accept these consequences, then there will be further consequences upon you. That everything that has happened and everything that I have allowed to come upon you is not even the fullness of what could be the consequences of going after and seeking things that bring death and destruction. And the Lord says that the consequences would be punishment from the sword, so war. So continuing to seek after things and continuing to seek after gods that are fashioned by man's hand brings about war and more war. So death by the sword. Also, it brings about pestilence. It brings about famine. It brings about plagues. It brings about selfish consequences into an individual's life and also into a society. Then in verses 9 through 11, the Lord says, "Do not believe the lying prophets, because all they're doing is they're seeking mediums. They're seeking these things that are not really gods that have no control over anything. They're seeking things that at best, if they are not empty, just wooden things, they are things that have spiritual things and consequences behind them, and they are demonic presence behind them. And all they desire is they desire for your destruction. That not only for those of the children of the Lord, but for all peoples, that there are spirits behind things that we seek, that we believe are fashions of our hands, but really all they are is they are demonic presence that desires and seeks to have our lives completely destroyed. And so in them, they give us over to wild imaginations. They give us over to wild speculations, which bring about wars, which bring about pestilence, which bring about famine, which brings about plagues, which brings about consequences of selfishness and selfish desires in an individual and in a society. In verses 12 through 15, the Lord has a very specific message for King Zedekiah of Judah. And the Lord says here, don't listen to the lies. Don't listen to those who have told you things that are contrary to my nature and to my word. Things that it is okay that if you seek after things, whatever you want, if you seek after whatever you desire, there's no consequences to them. And so the Lord is saying, hey, Zedekiah, do not listen to that. You are to seek after me. You are to seek after my heart, after my desire. And that is where life and abundance is. It is not in seeking after your desires and what you can do and what you can create. And so I hope that this can be a good encouragement to us today. A good encouragement not to seek after what we desire and what we can fashion by our hands, by what we can make, by what we can bring about in our strength, but instead that we seek and desire relationship with the Lord. That it's seeking a relationship with Jesus that brings us into all of the things that God desires for us, because everything is in Jesus Christ. Everything, all of the blessings, all of the giftings that, and all of the power that God has and that God desires to bestow upon us, and all of the purpose that God has created us for. Each one of us are created with and for a purpose that He has mapped out and that He has said, hey, you know what? I'm going to create you for a desire and purpose that He has and that He has placed inside of each one of us. So again, I hope this can be a good encouragement for us, and we look forward to seeing you tomorrow. So take care. Have a blessed one.